McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
Have you ever wanted to explore the world of Irish mythology? Now you can. Powered by the 5th edition of the world's greatest role-playing game, the Heroes of Tara Player's Guide contains 3 new classes, rules for chariot driving, headhunting, curses with meaningful consequences, and many more features, all dedicated to bringing the ancient world of Irish legend to vivid life on the gaming table. Get your copy on drivethrurpg.com today.
Hey y'all, it's time for rolling dice and taking names. This episode is jam-packed. The guys build their own Jurassic Park in Cretaceous Rails, go head-to-head with remote-operated robots in Line of Fire Burnt Moon, engage in Viking conquest in Looot, and construct the beautiful buildings of Santorini.
Hello and welcome to episode number 352. Crazy after all these years. I'm Tony.
I'm Marty. Paul Simon is like an artist for me that I have a lot of memories with growing up.
Okay.
Meaning like in the 70s, you had a lot of the Simon and Garfunkel songs. Mm-hmm. For some reason, the song 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, I really enjoyed that song. I just have these memories of hearing this song in the car with my parents and stuff. And it was trying to memorize the ways you leave your lover and trying to learn the lyrics.
Mm-hmm. That was one of my trivia questions for the Hood when I was doing it, to have multiple answers. Name the people that you had to leave in 50 ways to leave your lover. No.
That's a good question. Wait a minute. Is that one of those that it's a multiple part question and you get points for each one? You had to name them all to get credit.
Yep, that was it. So yeah,
which
hop
one?
On the bus.
No,
Gus.
Which one?
It was. You named all of them, and you got credit for each one. So you got 1 point for each name. Drop off the key, lean.
Lee. Step out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. Don't need to be coy, Roy. Don't listen to me. Just hop off the bus, Gus. Don't need to scuff much. Just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free.
Is it Lee or lean? Lee.
Drop off the. You think it's
drop off? It's probably Lee. It's one of those songs that it's like any song we hear. I've always thought it was lean, but I've never looked it up. So it's probably Lee.
Well, then guess what? You talk for a second. Lyrics to 50.
Yeah,
who? I mean, I don't know anybody named Lean.
I don't either.
But you assumed it was Lean. Drop off the key, Lee.
Lee. Okay.
The only thing I didn't like about the lyric is you don't need to discuss much. Every other line in that, the last 2 words is what rhymed. But discuss and much do not rhyme.
Yeah. And I was upset with him because he never made it to 50.
How many did he get up to?
Is it 7 or 6? I can't remember.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Yeah, 5. So I'm missing 45 ways.
He owes us a sequel.
Multiples, probably. I mean, he'd have to come up with 45 names to rhyme with.
Can y'all tell we're stalling because we don't have a lot in our show notes for an intro discussion?
We're not really stalling. It's just one of those songs. And I mean, I've used that one before. And then, of course, everybody's about The Sound of Silence and Disturbed doing their cover of it. And, just Paul Simon, Art Garfunkel, just a great duo. And then one of the best MTV videos ever with him and Chevy Chase, Paul Simon, that is.
What song?
Oh, God, hold on. Give me a second. I can hear, I playing the drums. Oh, yeah, I knew you'd ask. Crap. Oh.
That's okay. The title just left me too, so I was hoping you'd tell me what it was.
Yeah, I cannot remember what that title was. I can just see the video. Oh, well. Anyway, but that's fine. So first off, big shout out to everybody who has already bought tickets to the Strike Tournament at the Gen Con event. Thank you so much for making us feel liked and coming to the event, and hopefully it will live up to its name. Now, I will say, when we talked about the Strike Tournament before, it was one of those things where we were still working with the spaghetti place, and due to some changes there, we weren't able to, offer the great dish that Marty and I enjoy, and the reason why we go, lasagna.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, they had to make some changes to their menus to handle banquets. And I understand they had some policy changes. You have a party for 30 people and you bake enough dishes for 30 people to everybody get to choose lasagna.
Right.
And then only 15.
Sure.
That's a lot of lasagna to freeze.
Yeah. I'd take it with me though.
I would too, but I mean, still.
They do have good lasagna. I've never had their spaghetti. That's probably what I'll be doing. The other option was fettuccine Alfredo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just not an Alfredo fan, so.
Oh, yeah, I know. She was throwing them out at me. I'm like, nah, that's too much like spaghetti. That's too much like spaghetti.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate your menu choices. I like that you pick things that, one's tomato sauce based, and the other is not. By the way, as of right now of this recording, there's only 15 tickets left. So if you are thinking about you might want to come, you might want to make a decision early. In the past, we kind of had a soft cap and added tickets as people wanted them. This year, we changed that. We said, let's just go ahead and go with the hard cap of 100, and that's it. So in the past, we were able to make some leeways and adjustment. This year, we haven't left ourselves a lot of room for adjustment. So please, if you're interested, get them now.
Once again, you'll get a salad, you'll get a main course, and you'll get dessert. It also comes with either tea or soft drink. And there you go. That's what more does a growing person need?
Plus, everybody's going to walk away with at least 2 free games, at least. Who knows? Maybe we'll get somebody else to give away some door prizes as people come in. The big event is obviously the strike tournament. So when you walk in, you're going to pick which side you want to represent. Dice in a bowl, gladiators in arena. We'll split up teams and we'll start doing a tournament. We'll have all the dice in a bowl people play together, all the gladiators in arena play together, and culminate in a championship at the end where the goal is to try to get half of the championship one side, half the other. And then whoever wins gets to claim that for the year. And then after that, we do a little lottery. Usually at Gen Con, people are so very generous and say, hey, we want to give away something or give you something to give away to some of the participants tonight. So we'll have lottery tickets too. And Tony, I think we changed the way. I know in the past we've had madness of people lining up outside to get into the door. I think the system that we started last year is probably something we'll have to continue. Everybody come in, and then we'll just have to individually come to your table to check you in, and then you'll get something at that point so people aren't standing out the hallway.
Yeah, the spaghetti was not happy about that. And I'm like, it's not my fault. Y'all said the room wasn't ready. Don't be blaming me. Don't be hating on the player now. So then they bring them all back here. Yeah, as you come in, just keep going. And then we'll just put you at various tables and check you in. And if someone's still left standing, then we're going to have to, we'll have to bounce you out there. I don't know. I'll hire Ben. Ben can do it. Speaking of which, there was another loyal listener, and we always do these health things periodically. And I just want to give a big shout out to TR Knight. I mean, he's put it in our Discord channel. Get those shingle shots, people. He's dealing with that shingles thing, and man, I'm glad it didn't hit me. That does not look like fun. And I know our game buddy Bert dealt with it, and that's just not fun.
And my wife, Vanessa, dealt with it. Shingles is one of those things that you think it's not that big of a deal. And then you talk to somebody or live with somebody that went through it, and he's like, oh, it can be bad. So I don't know. At one time, the shingles vaccine was reserved for 50 and older. I don't know if that's still the cap or not. And if it is, I don't understand why there was an age limit anyway, but.
Yeah, because obviously it's starting earlier because, hey, it doesn't wait till 50. So let's go 45, I mean, I don't know how long it lasts.
Yeah, I don't know why there was an age. I just heard for years, it's like, oh, you wait till you're 50 and get the shingle shot. And that was the dual shot, correct? Is that 2 shots, the shingles?
Yeah.
Or was it
sure.
1? I don't remember.
At this level, I know I'm getting my tetanus shot again. I haven't had it in a while, so.
Well, that's standard. I mean, you get that, every 10, 15 years?
Yeah. See, what happened to 5 years? Did it got so potent?
No, I've never had it every 5 years. I remember as a kid, it was, you don't want that lockjaw. That's what my parents always said. You got to get that tetanus shot. You don't want the lockjaw. And so, I don't know what that is, but it doesn't sound not good.
Mm-hmm.
Lockjaw. Yeah. I never even hear about that anymore. But as a kid, it's like, oh, you scraped your finger on a barbed wire fence. Well, you better get that tetanus shot. You don't want that lockjaw.
Did you just step on that rusty nail?
Yeah.
I don't. Well, why is there a rusty nail laying in the yard? Explain that one to me. Why do you have a 2x4 with nails still in it, Dad? Explain that one to me.
It's that leftover piece of wood that you might need at some point in time for some project.
I finally started getting rid of all that crap. I'm like, I don't need this piece of wood. I got to make a carpenter bee trap next year, but that's the only piece of wood I got in the garage. But does anybody need a shopsmith? Oh, man. We got to get that garage cleaned out. Oh, I haven't used that shopsmith in forever, dude. You want a shopsmith?
No, I don't want a shopsmith. I really need to clean out my garage. Boy, this is really engaging conversation here, isn't it?
It is.
Single
it
shots.
Really is. Do you want to talk about the fact that we're now shopping for a new bed and what bed you have?
Oh my gosh, no. We had that discussion at game night, and it drug on entirely too long. See, so 12 years ago, the whole premise of this show was, you know how you sit around the table and you just talk about things as gamers and stuff like that? It's like, what if we make a show on that? Y'all, we don't come to this show with our intro like, what can we talk about this time? Literally, a lot of the topics we talk about are what we sit around and talk about during game night.
Well, I did talk about Sky Joe at our game night the other day. That's a game. We're playing a game.
Fair.
And we'll be talking about some games that we're reviewing. So I played Sky Joe recently with some friends of ours. It's so funny. Take a card and decide whether you're going to replace a card that's either face up or face down or discard it. They could not get that concept. They kept taking the card, looking at it, and then flipping a card up and looking at that, and then deciding. I'm like, no, that's not how this game's played.
That's easy mode.
That's easy mode. Easy mode. and then Donna and I, we went and visited my brother-in-law and his wife, and we were playing it, and I couldn't tell if they thought it was okay. They thought it was, they were looking it up on Amazon, but I couldn't get that, feeling like it was just not as strategic, but they're not big game players. So I'm like, I'm not understanding y'all here. There wasn't a lot to it. I'm like, that's the purpose of it.
Yeah, I actually saw Sky Joe. I went to Target today, and the Sky Joe was there. So they're selling it at Target.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
And it's the same box too. It's not like, sometimes they do special retail boxes. Flip 7 is one of those. I think Flip 7 is hangs on a tab now. Oh, by the way, before I forget and reference it going back, You Can Call Me Al is the song.
You can call me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up
Thank you.
5 minutes ago and I forgot. Oh, I looked that up for us. Because people are probably still screaming at the radio. Still screaming. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so we got some reviews coming up that we're going to be talking about. And unfortunately, one of those we were going to cover this episode, we did not get to play. Now, there's a little bit of a story behind this.
Oh, Lordy.
I've been excited to play a game called Huang, Huang from Phalanx Games, which is a remake of Yellow and Yangtze from Reiner Knizia. So we got a copy of it, and the night before our game nights, if I'm the one bringing the game, I typically try to have everything punched out, and I really wanted to go through and do this one because you have to put little things together, like pagodas and stuff are like little pieces, and there's like standees and stuff, so I want to have all that ready to go. So we get to game night the next night, and I start pulling everything out. And first off, this game box is like a thin pizza box. It's not your typical thickness of a game box. So it's already kind of hard to get everything back into the box. So I open it up and go out the pieces, and then I'm like, all right, where's the game board? And I'm looking through everything, looking under the rules and stuff. Where's the game board? And so I've quickly texted Vanessa. Vanessa, is there by chance a game board sitting near the couch where I punched last night? She quickly takes a picture and sends it back of the actual game board. So we will not be covering Huang in this episode, and we'll get it in the next episode. But the nice thing is everybody now knows the rules. So when we sit down this week to play, we should be able to just set it up and go.
I'm ready. I'm excited. We watched videos. We read rules. So
here it is. I got the board right here. I'm showing it to you.
Why isn't it in the box?
I haven't taken it out to the car yet, and I've also put it right here so I will not forget it. So I got
this thing's. We're destined not to play this thing again. When we're done, walk it out to the car.
I will. And in fact, we're probably done with this intro. So why don't we go talk about games we actually got to play at game night? Hey y'all, it is time for Game Toppers Kickstarter 5.0. This Kickstarter will start on June 10th and go through July 11th, and they have a preview page already up at GameToppersCrowdfunding.com. Now, we're going to be talking about this over the course of the Kickstarter, so let me just highlight some of the key points. One is Now you have one table to rule them all, one of the most versatile game table systems available. It's upgradable, extendable, portable, converts to smaller tables. You can add leg kits, dining covers, tons of accessories, and 32 styles of thematic neoprene game mats. Also, Game Toppers is doing deflation, significantly reducing topper prices to pre-pandemic levels and reducing shipping costs over 50%. Now they have an option to pay over time, which I love. If you don't want to put out all that money all at once, hey, do a little layaway plan. And there's new items including adjustable height leg kits, a new mat from Ryan Luckett, a new underwater mat from Amber Scharf, and Viking and Medieval Fantasy limited edition toppers with laser-etched artwork. And as a bonus for signing up for the Kickstarter at GameToppersCrowdfunding.com and you pledge any Wave 1 pledge, you'll receive a free limited edition print from a choice of 6 styles, which includes many images that are available on the Game Topper mats. So don't forget, Kickstarter 5.0 starts June 10th, and you can see the preview page right now.
Five-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
I spent many years talking about how much I enjoy the Undaunted series from designer Trevor Benjamin, David Thompson, and publisher Osprey Games. Last year, they came out with an Undaunted game based in a sci-fi universe called 2200 Callisto. Well, they just now released a brand new game that's based in that same universe called Line of Fire Burnt Moon. Now, it's not like those previous games where you have this map and you're trying to move things around and beat each other and stuff. Instead, it's more of a lane battler. But the way that it works uses a lot of the similar deck building mechanics that you've seen in Undaunted. This is going to be for 2-player, there are 5 zones out in front of each player, and the goal is to try to take control of those zones, and each of those zones are worth points. The first person who gets to 6 points wins. In classic deck building fashion, each player has a certain number of cards that they're going to start with, and a lot of these feel very similar to some of the same cards you're going to see in Undaunted. When you put a card into play at any zone that doesn't have a card already, you have to take interference into your hand, or basically Fog of War from Undaunted. It's junk. It doesn't do anything for you. Unless you put a particular card there that allows you to do that for free, almost like the Scout. So there's this concept of getting things out there that can help attack. There are these things out there that can get rid of the interference out of your deck. You can do things like help build defense. You can take control of areas. So it's very important to have a certain type of unit to take control of an area. And you have the commander type cards from Undaunted that allow you to bolster your deck. You have a supply of cards off to the side. Hey, bolster, add items from those cards to your deck so you can build your deck how you want. There's the concept of squads. There's an A group and a B group, and they have to be put together at each particular section. And there are basically what was sergeants and Undaunted for each one of those factions for bolstering them, etc. So if you've played Undaunted, it's going to feel very familiar. But Tony, you had not played Undaunted in a while, so I kind of had to re-explain all this to you.
It was obvious I hadn't played Undaunted in a very long time, and I was not grasping these concepts. I will say, anyone who has played Undaunted and is very familiar with the rule sets and the thing, this will flow very easily. Keywords, terminology, yeah, you'll have to get through all of that fun stuff. But if you like the ability, the squad type building that's in Undaunted, if you like trying to strategically watch what the other people are doing for their deck building and see how you are going to counter that, then this is going to be a game for you because it's from the Undaunted series. I mean, it's like Marty's saying here, okay, well, if I do this and I attack his B commanders, I know what I'm going to do to him because he's not going to be able to play those because he doesn't have very many in his hand. So he's going to have to end up discarding. He's going to be SOL. And it reminds me of the time you sniped one of my guys in regular Undaunted. That was it. I was done. I had no way of doing control points or something. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to flip this freaking board.
Yeah, because there's a way to eliminate players. Every card has a way to attack. Some are better attacking than others. And when you attack, you're basically going to add up your attack values, which is based on cards that you have in play, add up the defense value of who you're attacking, which could be if they control or different areas. Zones have different amount of shields. The units there could boost your shields, etc. If you exceed it, you basically, just like an Undaunted, when you take a casualty, you remove, if that same card is in your hand, you remove it from the game. It's from your discard, remove it from the game. It's from your deck, remove it from the game. Or if they're all gone, it's just removed from the game. You've totally lost that unit altogether. So all the way the casualties works also the same way. What felt a little bit different is the fact that there's a certain type of card that you can put into play. Or there's these different units that you put into play. To activate that unit, you need to play the same card of the unit that's on the table. So say there's a unit out there for taking control and it's an A one. I need another A unit of the same type so that sometime in the future I can say, hey, I'm going to take control of this. I can take control because I have a majority. You add these icons up to see who has the majority. And if you got it, you get to take control of that zone. And again, for the goal of getting 6 points. So that part's a little bit different because in Undaunted, you would play a card to move a token on the board or activate a token. Well, now you've got to actually get that token in place, but a token is just a copy of the card that's going to be in the zone. Another thing that Tony was very confusing too is they're using these terms for these units that didn't make a lot of sense. Like in World War II, I understand what a sniper does, a scout does, a sergeant does, but these have different names like X-Ed or Moss, and you have to kind of learn, okay, Moss is the control unit of stuff. So it's these new words for the units that you also have to learn too. But yeah, if you're very familiar with Undaunted, this is going to feel very familiar to you. But the point is, what if you're not familiar with Undaunted? Will people like it?
I think so because of how streamlined and fast it plays, where Undaunted can drag. And I mean that in a loving way. But this is not going to drag. Very strategic placement of the cards, knowing what what's coming up, what your possible deck combinations are. People who enjoy deck builders will enjoy this.
There's been a lot of games out there that's come out recently with the idea of you're battling over control of this spot in between you for 2 players. We played Compile last year that was very popular, but the thing that is a nice little twist on this is the whole deck building mechanic, which I really dig. Like you said, this only plays in 20 to 30 minutes. So it's really, really quick game to play. It has a nice box, nice production. The art from Leonid Dupont just looks really sharp on the card. So if you're looking for a good kind of a lane battler, control battler type 2-player game with solid deck building mechanics, give this a shot. If you like the Undaunted system, definitely give this a shot because it's going to feel very familiar to you. This is Line of Fire Burnt Moon from Osprey Games.
5-minute initiative is complete.
All right, Tony, there's a big movie coming out this summer that we talked about in our summer movie review. Another Jurassic World. This makes the 56th Jurassic Park, Jurassic World type movie. This next game that we're going to talk about kind of gives me the vibes of that, right? This is Cretaceous Rails from Spielcraft Games designer Anne Journey. And, just like in the movies, Tony, we have tourists that want to go out to an island and they want to see dinosaurs. We in this game are the owners of this island, and we want to build trains and trams so that we can take tourists around and see the different dinosaurs and then actually capture some of those dinosaurs, put them up for display and everything. And I think, honestly, the theme of this game fits the way that it plays more so than I thought it was going to.
Oh, yeah. And okay. So with all these dinosaur movies, you would think we would learn our lesson and not to build these parks.
Sure.
That's the only thing this game was missing. Tourists get eaten. I mean, it'd been nice, right? If that would have added some suspense to it. Or maybe, these tourists out there, they're possibly going to score you some points later at the end of the game that the T-Rex comes along and, oh, look, he has devoured some of your victory points. I think that would be a fun insert your rule here option.
So maybe that's the expansion of when the dinosaurs escape.
Yeah. Well, they're running free right now. We're just running a tram through everything. I didn't see any fences around. There's volcanoes. There's jungle trees. There's really nice miniatures of dinosaurs, 4 different colors. The colors mean something. So that's awesome. And it made a lot of sense. Yeah. Everything was well color-coded. It was easy to understand and explain what you were doing here.
Yeah, so you build this map using these hex-based tiles. And honestly, Tony, this does have the feel of a train game. Build a network, lay track, and pick up and deliver style game that you and I have seen in many train games. To be honest with you, when I first saw this, I went, this could be just any train game. But I think they tie in the actions and the themes so well with what you're doing. It kind of makes sense in what you're doing. Before we kind of dig into what's going on, one thing that I do like right off the bat, we just recently talked about Kalimala, and that is a worker placement game where when you place a worker between two adjacent actions, you take those actions. And we had the exact same sort of action selection mechanic here. There are 16 tiles that you're going to randomly put together into a 4x4 grid, and each of those tiles has an action on them. On your turn, you're going to take one of your workers, put it between two of those tiles, and take those two actions. Each player is going to get to do this 4 times. What I like, Tony, is after a round ends, unlike Kalimala, those actions get re-scrambled and put out again. So the actions that are beside each other each round are going to change over time. So right off the bat, the action selection mechanic I really like.
And a big difference here, before we go too far, is that no one can go in the same spot, unlike Kalimala, where I could put a token on top of yours and you would get to do the same action. This is not the case here. Once a place is taken between two actions, no one else can go there. One thing that stood out to me at this game as we were playing it, and we'll go ahead and put these up front, is at first I'm like, okay, all I'm going to do is I'm going to build this line. I'm going to collect these resources, that kind of stuff. There was a lot more forward thinking in this game than I anticipated, And because of the swapping of the action tiles, there was, okay, I can't plan far enough in advance. And what I mean by that is that, okay, next round after everybody's taking their turn, this is what I'm going to do. All that's changed. So my primary options were what I thought I wanted to do may not come together. The actions, and let's go ahead and go over. One of those actions is obviously I can go out and put down more tram tile. My monorail needs to grow. All right. And one of the restrictions is you and I can share the path through the jungle, but nobody else can. There's only 2 per.
Yeah, 2 per junction between the hex tiles.
And one other thing is I like in this game was that adjacency, I'm using that term loosely, is where your tram is sitting or pointing to. Those tiles are adjacent. And I like that you're not having to sit out there and have to run beside every tile, that you could point to one and then branch off somewhere else.
And that's very important because adjacency is important for multiple things. One is you've got these tourists that you start with some on your home tile, but there are also camps or resorts or cabins out in the map that have tourists also that you can pick up and bring back. So you're going to need to build a rail system out to those tourists, but those tourists want to see dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs that they can see are the ones that are adjacent to your track. And the dinosaurs they want to see, Tony, this is what you mentioned. This is where color matters. There's 4 different color tourists. There's matching 4 colors for the dinosaurs. So a red tourist wants to see red dinosaurs. But there's another little kicker in here. So you mentioned one of the actions is laying the tile. Well, you can't see any dinosaurs unless you thin out the jungle. At the beginning of the game, each tile has a little tree token that's put on it. One of the actions you can do is clear the trees off a hex. And when you do that, the tourist will now be able to see it. But you got to be able to haul that tree off. And not only are you building a tram, you start out with in front of you a train, a little cardboard train with a engine and 2 cars behind it. Each car can hold 1 item. And when you clear a shrub or a tree out of a hex, you actually put it onto your train. And then that will be delivered to your home board later in the round, or you can use it as a free, or not as a free action, one of your actions to unload at any time during the game. Not only are you going around and seeing things and stuff, you're actually going to be loading stuff onto your personal train that you'll unload. And we'll talk about in a second why getting those items back to your home board is important.
And tourists also go there too. They got to ride in the train. I mean, you're building track and you have your train. And so when you go out and a tourist does this explore, or you take the explore action from that standpoint, he is coming back on the train. So he's taking up a spot. And you have limited spaces. So let's just say, for instance, I don't know, this dinosaur, we need to bring him back and make sure that he's doing fine. We need to do a vet check on him. So there's the action of capture. We're going to capture this dinosaur. Guess what? We capture the dinosaur. We bring the old dinosaur back. He's on the train as well. And this is what, and I'll probably jump ahead of you here, but tourists, shrubs, trees, dinosaurs are resources. You'll use those resources later to build various capabilities that break the rules of the game on cards.
Those capabilities are resort cards. So another action you can do is draw 2 resort cards. Each of these resort cards have a build requirement. It's going to be some sort of combination of the tree, a dinosaur, or a tourist. One of the other actions on your turn is to actually build resort cards, and you spend those by putting them on the resort card itself. That card could give you an immediate ability or an instant action or an ongoing action over the course of the game. One of those that I had that I really liked, for example, was, oh, by the way, your tourists can see dinosaurs without clearing out a tree. You had that requirement. You must clear out a tree. Well, guess what? Because of this card you have, you no longer have to meet that requirement. And you can build as many as you want, but Tony, there are restrictions.
Imagine that.
Because there's 3 different levels that you can build. When you build, you can only build on one level. Build as many as you want, but you can only build on level 1 or level 2 or level 3. And you can only build on level 2 or level 3 if there's a level below it that can be built upon.
Right. It's got to support the pyramid. Can't have no lopsided pyramids here in this jungle. They'll fall down and you'll get eaten by a dinosaur. That's all there is to it. So, action selections, lay rails, clear jungle, capture dinosaur, safari, which is having the tourists come back, draw resort cards, so that lets you be able to come in, bring those and put those in your hand, build your resort cards, and unload your train, which you're going to have to do to get the resources onto your player mat, which will then be used to build your resort cards, putting all that together with the ultimate goal of getting the most victory points at the end of the game.
And the victory points, the way this works is really interesting too, in that you have a track on your board for each of the colored dinosaurs, and they have a value. We all start out with different values for each colored dinosaur. When you do the safari action and take a tourist back, you're going to count up the number of matching dinosaurs of that same color that you can see along your track. Hey, I've got that red tourist. He can see 3 red dinosaurs on the track that I've built. I will increase my marker for the red dinosaur by 3. This is important because at the very end of the game, that's going to be a multiplier for the number of red dinosaurs that I have on my resort cards. So not only you want to bring back dinosaurs to build resort cards, they drive up the value of those dinosaurs. That's going to be very important for in-game scoring.
Right. So capturing the dinosaur, right? That lets you build your resort, but you need to be able to see the dinosaurs in the jungle to drive up the various tokens. But if you just took them out of the jungle, you're not going to drive them up. So that's that give and take of this game that we found out, or at least I did, was, well, crap, I need to drive up the pink dinosaur number so I can have it at the end, because I have a resort card that has a pink dinosaur on it that will let me happen. All right. Well, what do I do first? Bring the tourists back first and get the points up, and then go get the dinosaur, because there's no limit on my resources, but I only have 4 actions that I can take each round, and there's 4 rounds. So I better plan that out. Oh, and wait, there's that stupid train that is full of stuff that I need to unload and basically waste an action. Unless it's the end of the round, then it automatically unloads.
Theoretically, you really want to maximize your actions and just unload at the end. And y'all may be thinking, well, wait a minute. You said you can only carry 2 things? Well, there's a ton of resort cards that if you build them, one of the instances is add another car to your train to be able to carry additional items, dinosaurs, trees, tourists, etc. But you're right, Tony, the balancing act of, okay, awesome, I'm bringing these tourists and driving up all the values of these dinosaurs, but I need to capture some of these dinosaurs, which means later on, if I do that safari tourist action, it won't drive it up as much because that dinosaur is no longer in the jungle to even see. And you can actually monkey with other people too, right? Well, you could be sharing dinosaurs that you're looking at. You might pluck one from somebody else that's playing the game that really wants to drive up that particular color, and you just remove their ability to do so.
Right. As long as your tram is near where they need to be. Because in our game, I was off by myself in my little world of jungle. It didn't work to my advantage. I mean, I got decent points, but I ran out of the colored dinosaur I need, and I found myself with the resort cards really crunched on needing the right resources. This was that puzzle that as you play the game over and over, you understand, okay, I need to look at my cards, my resort cards, and see what colors I have to build for the dinosaurs or the tourists, mostly for the dinosaurs, because those are your big points, and say, okay, I need to go collect those. But maybe it's one of those things where, I need to then make sure my train is going that direction. So really at the beginning, you're not going to mess your whole game up at the beginning, but you really do need to start thinking about what kind of strategy am I looking at here? What kind of cards do I want to build here? And those cards will also dictate some of your breaking the rules. So there's a lot to consider that this game kind of hides from its cute little dinosaur figurines, is what I'm saying.
Again, I was really surprised at how good this game is. When you just look at it on the table, you think this is just like a colorful kids game, that's easy to play. No, this is this is a mid-weight Euro. Mm-hmm. It's not heavy by any means, but there's a lot that could be done. And I didn't even mention, these resort cards also have in-game scoring at the bottom of them. So every resort card that you build will have some sort of end-game scoring that could be victory points per rail, victory points per train card that you have, victory points per tourist, etc. So maybe you want to grab, let's say you have a really long train or a lot of rails out on the board. Maybe you want to grab and build as many resort cards as you can where each of them score for that rail. But, well, that's great if you do that, but then you got to make sure that you can build that resort, because we didn't mention this. Dinosaurs that are on your player board and not on resort cards only score half points. Mm-hmm. You don't want to bring back a dinosaur and not use it to build something. You want to maximize your resources as much as possible to maximize your victory points.
Yes. For me, I really enjoyed playing the game from the standpoint of thinking through the various turns, the options, the twists that were coming, the resort cards, being able to break the right rules. You always get that situation where, oh man, if only we could have broken this rule. And when I say break the rules, make the game flow a little bit quicker. You're not limited to just the base. I like the fact that the resort cards, that based on the level they're on, you may get additional bonuses, or some of the resort cards have negative effects you have to be very careful of. Like if I build it on level 1, I have to reduce the fame or the stars for my dinosaurs down, which is taking points away. And by the way, on your player track, those stars, it is not one each time. It grows significantly. It's not exponential, but it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's maybe 1, 3, 5, 7 on up the scale. And if you see too many dinosaurs and you hit a barrier, because your tourists get fatigued, if you don't have a tree, you can't pass that barrier, so you just wasted a bunch of points. So you got to get that planned in there.
You mean on the board, when you move up your little marker, there's little lines that once you cross, it's like for you to cross this line, you got to spend a tree. So yes, you have to plan ahead to grab trees to spin that to cross that line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for me, it was, again, this game plays in 4 rounds. 90 minutes-ish is probably right where you're going to be. There's a little bit of setup for putting out the board and everything like that. But once you do that, it kind of flows pretty quick. Your actions that you take are really fast. Mm-hmm. And so there's not a lot of downtime. You don't get to do stuff on other people's turns, but the turns move so quick, I didn't feel myself just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, waiting for everybody else to go. And later in the round, your options for where your marker is going to go is going to start decreasing anyway. So it just, there's less options to choose from towards the end of each round. So after 4 rounds, you tally up all your points. The person the most points wins. I was surprised by this game. I was surprised because, look at all the cute bits and everything like that. But what kind of game is in here? I think the game was in here that really mimics a lot of the solid train games that I've played, of smart network management, of smart pick up and deliver, especially the fact that some of the stuff I'm delivering will affect pickups of other things. Oh, if I picked up the dinosaur, the next time I get this tourist, I won't be able to score as many points off of it because that dinosaur is now gone.
Right. I'm with you right there. I was pleasantly surprised, expecting nothing to really be a deep think, or not a deep thinker, but one that requires a lot of strategic thinking or moving forward of, okay, what's my next turn? How am I going to do this? How am I going to accomplish this? And every action that I was taking, I was like, okay, how can I plan this out? Especially if someone took the spot I wanted, right? It was like, okay, I never felt like completely shut down, but I was like, oh man, if I don't get this spot, I'm really going to have to reroute my thinking for this round. So yeah, this was a fun game.
Again, like I said at the very beginning, I thought this is kind of a pasted on theme. Honestly, with the things that you're doing, it doesn't feel pasted on at all. the actions that you're taking really make sense with the idea of I'm building an island, a train, and I want tourists to see a bunch of dinosaurs and build a bunch of nice buildings to show them off in. So this is Cretaceous Rails from Spielcraft Games. Convention season is upon us. Portal is set up, ready to go, ready to start delivering games. Ignacy has said Age of Galaxy is on its way to North America. It's going to be on its way to Gen Con where we can get it there. Tony, it's going to be there on Wednesday for you and I to unbox and stack up inside the booth for people to come by and get and enjoy. I'm sure there'll be a demo table set up for it. So I can't wait to try that out. He's also excited about Bohemians. He's really raving about that game that's going to be coming out at Essen. We got Neuroshima Hex Battle, which is also on the way, which is a 2-player tactical challenge. It's like a little scaled down version of Neuroshima Hex. A great way to learn and play the system. And for all the games that are currently out, you can go and head over to shopportalgames.com. Use code CASHFLOW to get 25% off. What? That's right, 1/4 off the price by using code CASHFLOW and get 25% off your purchase. I don't think you can beat that. There's a lot of great games in this catalog, and if you don't have them, now's the time to get them and help them out as we prep for the big releases that's coming out later this year at Portal Games. Remember, you can find out about all his games over at shopportalgames.com.
Five-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
We got to play a very popular game from 2024 called Looot from Gigamech, designed by Charles Chevier and Laurent Escoffier. And you are Vikings, and you need to gather resources, which will allow you to capture buildings to develop your fjord, and you'll be able to fill longships that will help complete your various construction sites that will let you rack up the most victory points. And between the players, whoever has the most victory points becomes the new Jarl.
It's not necessarily tile drafting, but you're putting Vikings out onto the board onto tiles and taking the resource of where you place that tile. And on your actual map yourself, you are doing some tile placement. So you have a map that's broken up into hex spaces to be able to put these different types of resources that you collect. You've got these buildings on your board that require certain types of resources. And when those resources are adjacent to that building, you flip it over, it's going to generate victory points. But there's a main map in the middle that's also made up of hex spaces that you're going to be placing your Vikings in order to collect these resources. And they're the idea of connecting two places together. You might block somebody else from getting something. So there's a little bit of strategy there of how do you place your Vikings on the board. Oh, shoot, I need ore. I need to work my way over to this ore spot, because the restrictions on placement, it always must be placed adjacent to another Viking. Luckily, it doesn't have to be yours.
I know, and I was going to say, that's probably one of the best things about this. So maybe someone's building out and you need to go over there and get some ore, and you put your Viking right next to theirs so that you got the ore that you need to collect, but it doesn't mess up whatever train you're building, because some of them, like the castles or the watchtowers, watchtowers, you got to have a string of 4 Vikings in a row. Castles, you have to have 4 that are connected together, and you'll be able to collect this. Now, you can block the paths as other, but luckily there are various tokens that allow you to break the rules, such as placing 2 Vikings in one spot. Everybody has 13 Vikings. The game ends after everybody's placed their last Viking, and then you sum up the number of victory points based on the various qualifications that you have, about the longships, the multipliers that you have. This is probably one of the most convoluted victory scoring systems I've seen in a while. I hate to say it.
Before I get to that point, because that's kind of going to be a negative for me, I liked what I was doing as I was playing. I like the idea that, okay, we both start out with a couple buildings on our board. These buildings require this type of resource, this tree, these axes or whatever. And when you do that, also you score points. Like you said, there are these long ships that you can get that also have various requirements for scoring things. Some of these buildings are multipliers for some of the resources that you're going to have at the end of the game. And those multipliers is what works together to create the in-game scoring, to where, Tony, I honestly felt like our in-game scoring time felt like 25% of the time of the total play time. That's exaggerating. Yeah. figuring out the final score took a lot longer than what I felt it should.
Let's just do an example. You take the starting value of your castles to any castle bonuses you have obtained. Castle bonuses obtained are based on the longships, and these are hidden. You don't know what those bonuses are. So that's kind of the hidden aspect of this game. Longships require resources as well. By the way, if you do not fill a longship, it's negative points at the end of the game. So you got to keep that in mind, right? They're free to take. At the end of your turn, you can take a longship, all right, and place it on your board somewhere. You got to figure out your placement because you may screw yourself up when you're trying to build the various construction sites. You got to make sure you have an open space for that. So so there's the thinking of it. Your castle bonuses, there's 2 castle bonuses you may have, and you've got 3 castles. She adds the bonuses to the starting value of the castles, which is on the player board of 4, gives her the starting value of 11. Then she multiplies that value by the number of castles she has, 33. So castle bonuses plus the starting value of 4 times the number of castles you have on your board. How did you get the castles?
Yeah.
By surrounding castles with Vikings, basically Vikings sacking castles.
Yeah, but then do that same sort of scoring for every type of resource, gold, sheep, wood, the exact same way, right? So then you're walking through each of these things, doing these multiplications and adding and stuff. It's not bad, but for a 30-minute game and 4 players taking 5 minutes to get the scoring done was oh, wow, okay. I've said this before in many reviews. I love it when at the very end, it's all right, here's how many points I got. How about you? Congrats, you won.
Yeah.
Not a long, convoluted scoring session.
I mean, overall, the method, the way to play the game, placing the Vikings, being able to strategically think, how am I going to collect the various resources I need to deal with the constructions or to meet the objectives? That's all straightforward.
And I liked it. I liked putting the Vikings out on the board, trying to plan ahead. I know I'm going to need this resource later, so I want to put a Viking here. I want to connect these buildings together to get the bonus, etc. Liked all that. And in fact, it's so likable, Tony, that it was just nominated for Spiel des Jahres for last year, too. So this is, it was a hot game when it came out last year, and it's going to be talked about even more since it was just nominated for that prestigious award.
Right. So overall, I mean, Loot, Gigamech, fun game. I can't wait for the app scoring.
That's true. That would make it a little bit quick. I don't know. Did we look up on the BG stats? Was there a page for it?
I think there was, but our stat keeper wasn't there that night, so I didn't really explore that. I didn't discover that one on my own.
So we did that one by hand. So yeah, I enjoyed it too. I get the idea of, I understand why it's fun and people enjoy it, but people need to understand how the points are going to be calculated at the end, because that's very important on how you determine how you're going to play during the course of the game.
And nothing pisses people off more than you get to the end of the game and say, oh, by the way, if you had done this would have been a lot more points. So you spend 5 minutes explaining the game, 20 minutes explaining how to score at the end. That's Loot.
5-minute initiative is complete.
MiniatureMarket.com. Guess what, y'all? They got games. They got games. They got all kinds of games. They got RPGs. Lots of games.
Sure.
RPGs. Miniature
Yeah, you said
games.
that one.
I
Games,
did,
you
didn't
said
I?
that one too. Yep.
They got some deals too. Matter of fact, they sucked me back in for another deal.
What'd you get?
I ordered a Power Grid, the card game.
Oh, bring that one night. I've never played that.
I know. That's why it was on sale. So I quickly grabbed that. And then I decided to pick up one game that we recently played that I said, you know what? I'll just add that one because I was explaining it to Donna. And she was like, I want that. I said, well, I could do this with SkyJoe. And she goes, yeah, you could. Heck, let's just put it in the basket as well. Because, I'm not going to spend $9.99 and then get shipping for just $6.
No.
I'm just going to add a little bit more. Why would you do that? Right?
So what
Why
game
would
did you add?
I added Slide.
We'll be talking about that in an upcoming episode.
And then I also added to it, and I was talking to her, I said, as we're getting older, baby, and you're really enjoying some of these mini crossword puzzles and things like this, we've never had this game. Why not throw in Bananagrams, Stars and Stripes?
Oh, nice. And we're recording on Memorial Day, so it's appropriate.
And she goes, why Stars and Stripes? I said, well, because there are wild card letters that let you substitute anything. And for you and I can't spell, she'll say, is that an O or an A? I said, whatever makes that word right. Miniature Market, you sucked me back in, got my email, said these games are on sale, headed over there immediately, quickly bought everything, used my RDTN link from the website because I would not get yelled at. I didn't want people to yell at me for not doing that. So be sure to do that. So head over to miniaturemarket.com. The year is 2016 AD, and a board game came out that basically, I remember the buzz about this game, Marty, that people were just like, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Look at it.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks like the island Santorini. 2016, man, almost 10 years ago. And I remember playing it, and I was like, okay, this is fun. I love the chess nature of Santorini, the strategic. And since 2016, tons of expansions, right? I mean, all these player modules, all these god powers, things have been coming out ever since then. Matter of fact, I didn't realize I had played it as much as I had. 2025, moving forward, Santorini Pantheon Edition from Roxley Games, designed by Gord, is coming out. And this is got everything in the box. It's all in the box. Nice pieces, beautiful. The artwork is back. All the gods are in there. I mean, if you've never played Santorini, or maybe you've moved past it, got rid of it, but hey, I'd like to really get this game back on my shelf. Take a look for the Pantheon Edition that is coming out. No major changes, right? It's still Santorini.
No, still Santorini. Basically, you have to move and build. On your turn, you got to move and build. And when you build, you're trying to build up the different structures. And your goal is to build a structure all the way to the top 3 levels and then jump on top of that. And you can win the game. But you can block people by putting the little blue domes, which are very famous in the island of Santorini, to keep somebody from doing that. So that's where the chess element comes in. It's very much an abstract game. You're trying to position yourself correctly to finally make that final jump to be able to take the victory. So all that is there. The pieces still look nice and everything like that. But all those expansions you talked about, Tony, they now come in these little nice, almost, they're not blister packs, but the little boxes with the nice little figures and additional god cards. Because you're given a random god card at the beginning of every game that has something special for you to do to make every game feel a little bit different.
I was like, okay, that's cool. I like this. I like that, I didn't remember if Santorini itself, played up to 4 players. It did. I always thought it was a 1v1. But there is, that capability, and we've tried that out. We played with 3. That was interesting. I liked how they gave you some hints on which gods to put together. There's some of those god powers I really did not like, but we'll get past that. But then, so that's Santorini. All right, we're done with that. Now they are coming out with a game in the Santorini Isle universe called Santorini Riddle of the Sphinx. It's a co-op. What?
Yeah, I was like, what? I mean, this is just strictly a head-to-head abstract game. You move, you build. How do you make a co-op out of this? And so we started digging into the box. It's like, geez, this isn't just a co-op. It's a full campaign game where basically you got this big book that you're supposed to play through, and it tells a story, and it builds upon itself over time to, as you play, you unlock things like additional gods and stuff that you can use over the course of the campaign. It's like, there's way more of this than what I thought there was going to be.
And we only played the first few series of it, and then, it's one of those chapter books, flip books, and the premise is still the same thing. Now they've added a few things. First off, you're still going to have to. You got to move and build. That's one option. But here's the trick: you don't have unlimited pieces. Your resources are limited. You only have so many tier 1s that you're giving at the start of the game. So that's the riddle. How do I take this limited set of resources of the tiers, of the various building tiers, and accomplish the goal of collecting the coins that are on the map by moving? And when I move, I have to build. And if I move and I can't build, then wah.
Now, there is also the little twist too, is that instead of moving and building, you could claim a god. And each god starts with a piece on it. So that is another way to get a piece into play. And a god has a one-time use. You use it. Awesome. It's a little special value. But if you can happen to use the god power and use the block that's on it, you'll get a bonus block back. That's how you add more to the supply. The tokens you're talking about getting have requirements on them. Maybe the token is showing like a level 2 symbol. That means in that space where the token is, once you build a level 2 or tier 2 block, you get to claim that token and get a level 2 block back. And in the early scenarios, it's basically try to collect all the gray tokens, try to collect all the gray and gold tokens before you run out of your supply.
And when you're doing this, it's like, okay, that doesn't sound hard. It was funny when we did the tutorial, we did the second. The third one, we started thinking, whoa, wait a minute. There's something here, because the God powers that you were talking about, they gave you you can still use the block on it, but you don't lose the bonus. And I think that's important for people to realize. That's one thing that I wasn't grasping. Hey, I can take that block off your God, but you lose that power,
Right. Lose the bonus.
Lose the bonus. The quest.
You got the power, you just don't get the bonus.
Yeah, the quest that you get. And then also later, you get to start dealing with the Sphinx, the riddle of the Sphinx, which is basically taking your chance on rolling a die, which will add a block into your supply. But if you roll the die and that you've already used that gem, you've already collected that portion, a worker dies. And if 2 workers die, game over, reset, let's go again.
Right. So there's all these elements of kind of a little bit of push your luck, planning ahead. Hey, if you go here and I go here, I can unlock this block to get you this block. And that way, when you build, you'll have that block to go there, which gives us the token. I mean, we're sitting there strategizing and doing all this stuff. So a lot of the time, you're not even moving pieces or anything. And like a good co-op game, it's just a discussion. How are we going to play this round? Well, if you go do that, you go do that, you go do that, you go do that. Okay, good. That's how we get through this part. And then, then go again sort of deal. So, man, this is one of those games that just totally surprised me on how much I like the co-op thing. It's like, again, it's an abstract game. Move and build. How are you going to make something out of this? But then we start looking through the rest of the campaign book, and it just gets even more into it. There's an idea of a Sphinx that moves around the board each round that can destroy towers. And you got to make sure your towers don't get too destroyed. They can attack players and destroy your players. You can attack them and deal damage to it. In fact, part of it is there may be something out there that you're trying to defeat and you have an attack power. So this just keeps cascading upon itself to build this really deep narrative experience as you play the campaign.
I mean, Roxley did an amazing job as always with their pieces, their upgrades, things like that. I mean, it's going to look great on the table. I had a lot of fun with this. I like the fact that we were playing with 3 people, and I like that there was a wanderer. So you're always playing with 4 workers, right? And if you're playing with 2 people, there are 2 people, you're controlling 2. Playing with 3, there's a wanderer that's out there. If you play with 4, everybody has their own worker. So everybody's involved in this. And the tutorial, it's for 2 people. So don't, if you got more at that, let that one person observe and help with the rules. Well done, Roxley. I also like the fact that as you're playing, you're like, well, I just completed that mission. What did I do? Well, did you complete it on heroic or godlike? There's various challenges. You can set up an expert mode for each story. And then, as you unlock the friendly gods that you can add into your deck by doing accomplishing certain type of achievements. I mean, all this is in there. I mean, yeah, I was very surprised. And if you like Santorini and you're tired of just me against you, yeah, you go get this.
Yeah. So there's you're talking about unlocking gods. In the book, there's like a constellation page that you track as you go, which you mark little ticks in the book to let you know, okay, I've done this, and now I get to unlock this to use this special god in the future. So you can kind of plan out, hey, I really want to unlock this god. It's almost like a skill tree. It's the same sort of thing as you get points to apply towards a skill tree. You unlock certain skills. Well, that's what you're kind of doing here too. Again, this was one of those games that just really surprised me how well it was done and how much I was enjoying it and how I can totally think I could feel just a group getting together. Hey, let's play the next campaign. Let's play a couple campaigns and just see how far we can go with this thing.
Yeah. So that is Santorini and Santorini Riddle of the Sphinx. That was designed by James Nierkirk and Paul Saxberg. And of course, Santorini was designed by Gord.
All right, when this episode drops, Tony.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton. For this day.
It is Nintendo Switch 2 launch week. I've got my plans ready to go. We got game night set up for Wednesday night, June 3rd. Afterwards, I'll be coming home, picking up Brett. We're heading to GameStop for the midnight release of Nintendo Switch 2. officially comes out on Thursday, but there's some stores around here doing a midnight release. However, Best Buy screwed us over. One of the systems we're going to pick up is at the Best Buy in Monroe, which is right beside GameStop. That's just one of the ones we happen to get. We got a text message from them going,
oh, by the way, the pre-order that you had for this store will not be available at midnight. Instead, you need to come in the next day when the store opens.
So that totally blew our plans out of the water of us getting all the systems at midnight. Instead, one will be picked up the next day.
So I'm glad you're excited for this. I'm sitting there thinking, wow, another system. I don't even know how old so there's the Switch, 5 years old now? 6 years old?
8.
Really?
8 years old. Yep.
Where did the time go? I don't think I had the Switch until, I've been in this house almost 7 years now. So, okay, I guess I got one. I wasn't an early adopter, which I never am.
Right.
So I'm excited. I can't wait for you to bring it to game night, and I get to look at it in all its glory.
Yep. Again, I've mentioned this before. There's several people in our Discord channel that are going to be picking up the Switch 2. All of us are getting Mario Kart World that supports up to 24 players. So we will be doing some Mario Kart World racing and game nights scheduling on our Discord channel. So come join our Discord channel, which you can find over on our links at our website, rolldicetakenames.com, because we'd love to have you. And we can fit a lot of people in the room now.
Okay. Well, what's unusual, I remember back in the days of Half-Life where we would play and there was so much lag. So I guess there's not much, you can't have lag in this game.
No, I'm stunned. It's 24 people can race at a time, which is insane. I don't know. I haven't been this excited about a Mario Kart in quite a while, but it's a big open world thing. So you can do a lot of exploring and stuff like that outside the racing and everything. So it looks, and there's 100 tracks released in the very first release, which is insane. Or they said enough variations to make 100 tracks, basically.
Okay. Wow, that's unreal.
Yeah.
See, I remember we were so excited to play games online before, and I know with Nintendo Switch, where am I going with this? They did the Tetris Super thing, right?
A Tetris 99? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And then something that I was playing over at my daughter's a while back where you're just sitting there running with a bunch of people through a maze of stuff. I'm pretty sure, was it the Switch thing?
Is it through a maze of stuff? It's not Among Us.
No.
Were they like round bubbly characters that?
Yes.
No, my God, a Fall Guy, Fall
something like that.
Yeah.
You're bouncing on trampolines and the first people, and then you keep getting eliminated.
Yeah, that was a very popular game that came out sometime during the pandemic. So a lot of people were sitting home playing Among Us and that game. Yeah.
But I guess they've got it down. If you're playing that, it's not carts, but you've got 100 people in and playing all at once. But then, why am I concerned about this? MMOs have been doing it for years.
Right. But it's just one of those quick fixes things. You sit down, you play a game, and then 5-8 minutes later, you're done. And you can reset, play a game if you want. So it's a low time investment sort of thing. You just run and try to knock each other off. So it's not very good.
So I'm looking forward to seeing this massive piece of equipment. And then maybe 2-3 years, I might look at getting one and replace my original Switch. Last time I cranked mine up was on a plane and I was playing Puzzle Quest. So not much for me. So,
we went to visit my son out in Oregon. I took the Switch with me. And I didn't have it charged up on the way out there. And I went to turn it on. It's like, why is this dead? It was in the charger, but I guess it didn't get seated right in the stand, and it didn't charge. Anyway, so I made sure it was charged on the way back. And we had to go from Oregon we had a layover in Dallas, and it was 2.5 hours away. And I got on the plane as soon as we took off. It's like, all right, I'm going to play Balatro. I hadn't played that in a while. And I played constantly until I heard over the intercom, okay, I put your trays up, we're landing. I went, holy cow, I spent this entire time playing Balatro. I never won, but I was playing. Another good one too that I played a little bit was Vampire Survivors. That's always a good 30-minute game. Basically, you're going to play 30 minutes and you're done, but it really kills a lot of time because you never stop in that game. You just keep on going.
One day I'll find one that's going to grab me over there on the Switch world, take it back to work like Legend of Zelda did. Never played the second one, so.
I'm also looking forward to the Switch 2 supporting GameCube games. I'll be playing the mess out of F-Zero GX. I may replay Wind Waker, which I really enjoyed. So there's a lot of GameCube games that's going to be out for that system. And I pre-ordered the GameCube controller for it. So I didn't snag one of those two.
Okay.
But before the Switch 2 comes out, I had wanted to finish this game I had mentioned on a previous episode, Clare Obscure Expedition 33. I was able to finish the game, and I will say it's one of the best gaming experiences I've had in a very long time. As a complete package, from the story to the characters to the visual to the fight style to the music, it's honestly was just one of the best games I have played in a very long time.
Now, this is one of those turn-based type games, right?
It is a turn-based game, and I think you probably have experience with those. You played, was it Skies of Arcadia?
Yes, I played Skies of Arcade. What is it? Origins, the BioWare game.
Okay, that one's a little bit different because you move and plan. That is turn-based, yes, but it's not like the JRPG style turn-based. Okay. You ever played any Final Fantasies?
No.
Dragon Quest.
If that's not the one I was talking about, no.
Fire Emblem.
Once.
Okay. Unless it was the tactics one, which now Fire Emblem is more of a tactics style game. You know what? You may have never played a pure turn-based except for that GameCube one.
Yeah, and that was not a few years ago. That was many, many, many years ago.
Wow.
I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed it because I didn't feel like I was in a rush to do anything. But I did see where people were saying, how do you parry? How do you dodge in this game?
It is turn-based, so you can take your time making decisions you want to make. But a lot of issues that I run into with JRPGs is, I'm going to do this in my combat, and I just sit back and watch, and there's nothing to do. So what they've done is they've made the combat interactive. Once you've made your decision, when you go to attack, there's these timing buttons that you can press, QTEs, quick time events. Like it'll show a box on the screen and it goes around, and if you hit the X at the right time, you do more damage. And when you're being attacked, you can block the attack by doing a dodge or a parry. A dodge is a larger window to press the button so you don't get attacked, but you don't do a counterattack. The parry is a smaller window of opportunity. You got to get the timing perfect, but if you do this really cool counterattack that just automatically does it on its own. And what's so cool about it, it's very visceral. Like when you hit the right parry, the kind of the animation changes and it does this real flurry of animation as it gets ready to do an attack, and it just looks and feels good. That's the thing about the combat too. You felt the weight of the combat. When you punched something, you felt like you were punching it because the sound editing was so good and all that stuff. It's not like I'm going to do something, sit back and watch. It's very interactive, which is cool, which kept me engaged the entire time.
I know Assassin's Creed is not that way, a turn-based, but some of it's parrying, some of it's dodging. You had a small window. Also, I believe some of the sneaking involved a very small, tight window that if I didn't hit it right, I was in trouble, right? I was immediately thrust into combat and I had to just hit button smash. How else did it draw you in?
Okay, so number one, the characters are super engaging. Like right off the bat, you kind of get introduced to the characters. You're immediately invested in everything. They've got good personalities. They got different personalities. Some of the characters' interactions were funny. I just laughed at it. There's a lot of heart. Things happen in there that really kind of hit some good emotional beats. And what kept me going was just I was having fun and the story. The story just like, I want to know where this goes. Now, I will say the story gets really odd and I don't want to spoil anything, but there were times where I like, pause button, Wikipedia, end of Act 2, Expedition 33, give me the Cliff Notes. Oh, that's what that means. That sort of deal. So I did have to do some reading to make sure I really understood what I was playing.
Gotcha. Well, I was just kind of, it sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, and you said, I know in our other discussion, you talked about the music. Music is incredible.
Yeah. So get this. So they found this guy, the composer has never done a game soundtrack. The director went into this music forum he had never been into and said, hey, I'm looking for somebody to possibly make some music for this game I'm doing. It's our very first game. It's a very small studio. Anybody interested? The musician had just joined that forum that day and happened to see that post and go, I've always wanted to do it. And you never would have known it's his first. I mean, it is beautiful orchestrated music with full orchestras and choirs. And it is just one of those that I have a playlist of and I just listen to. It's just one of those things you put on the background and listen to. It has a very Parisian French music style feel to it. All the lyrics are typically in French. And so it just has that French cafe, like you're listening to a band or something like that on some of the music. The more orchestral pieces aren't like that. But when the vinyl comes out, I will be buying that soundtrack. So, it was a small studio. Their very first time doing this, only 30 people, very small budget, only cost $50. And for them to put out something that is probably going to sell as good or better than the latest Assassin's Creed, which is a multi-$100 million title from a AAA studio, that's pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive. I mean, shoot, the price of it when I was looking at it, was like, this isn't much. I mean, compared to what video games cost now. So definitely something I need to consider for my collection. I know you said I could borrow yours, but as long as it takes me to play games, and especially doing side quests, because, that completionist in me comes through.
Oh, that's cool. So I'm not a completionist, and it took me 35 hours. If you're a completionist, it's going to take you 50 to 60, but some of the side quests I did were fun. Some of the side quests are almost like little games that you could, like little carnival games that you play, but completing the carnival games gives you rewards. Now, also, I don't know if you get into building a party. So it's a party type system where you have characters and you can assign skills. So you earn these skills as you play the game, and these skills cost points, and you can spend points to assign skills to whoever you want. So then you could build out these real cool synergy things. Like towards the end, I had this one skill where, hey, I'm going to give this person over here some extra action points because there's a skill I want this character to do that costs a lot of action points. I'm going to give him some action points, have another character that says, hey, this character is going to do double damage. Then when it gets to that character's turn, I've got enough to do some cool skill. I've got double damage on me. I've got the other stuff to make my crit chances a lot higher. Let's see if it crits, and I'm dealing $100,000 damage, and it just feels really good. It's like, pat yourself. It's an engine builder, right? It's kind of an engine builder sort of thing with these skills.
And I know we've been going on. We weren't going through this too long, but when you think about video games and role-playing games and things like this, death penalty. What happens in the death? Are you going to suffer a lot? What's going on there?
There is no death penalty. You'll just go back to your last save point.
Gotcha.
One thing I really enjoy, every single boss has a save point right before the boss.
Oh, that's nice.
If you wipe, just go back in there and do it again. You can skip cutscenes. So if you've already seen the cutscene, just press a button. You'll skip the cutscene and get straight through it, that sort of deal. It rewards you for listening to dialogue because you can build relationships between people. But building relationships unlocks additional skills.
Okay. I was trying to think what kind of game. There was a game where if you had certain relationships, like, this person likes you a lot more, than you'd be access to various capabilities or weapons or something like that. So typical stuff in, these video games now.
Plus, I mean, I can't believe this small studio got people like Charlie Cox, who was Daredevil on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Ben Starr, who was the main guy in Final Fantasy 16, and Andy Serkis, who plays Gollum.
Gollum.
To come in there and do voice acting for these characters.
Oh,
so the acting is incredible.
Okay, yeah. Help these guys out, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm all about the indie scene right now, whether it's video games, music, etc. If I can help these guys succeed by giving them my money, I'd rather give them my money than Ubisoft.
Ooh, okay. You do that, yeah.
And the director of this is a former Ubisoft employee who he said, if I had pitched this idea to my former employer, it would have taken 10 years to make and a ton of money. Wow. He said, I just wanted to leave him, do my own thing. And he's been rewarded. Over 3.3 million copies of this game has been sold. So it's like, literally, it's like, guys, we're ready for your next project because we know you got the money to do something.
Mm-hmm. That's unreal. All right. Anything else on this besides just bring the copy to game night?
Oh, wait, you said earlier you was going to buy a copy because it takes you a while. Now you're saying bring the copy.
It depends. If you remember, great.
Okay. No, anyway, unless something really good comes out, my game of the year by far, and I think when the Video Game Awards come out, this probably nominated for voice acting, music. It'll be up for first game from a developer, game of the year, best RPG. It's going to be in a lot of different categories.
So with that, we're going to say goodnight, goodbye, see you later, but just keep rolling dice.
And as they say from the game, tomorrow comes and taking names. Hey y'all, thanks for listening. Don't forget you can find out all of our information on our website, rolldicetakenames.com. There we have the links to all of our social media pages and invite to our Discord channel, which we'd love you to join. And if you want to, you can support the show over at buymeamoonpie.com. We appreciate all the support, and we hope to have you back next episode.
Note to self, provide better intro-outro notes.
This was pretty weak, wasn't it?
It was sad.
Every hero strikes out on their adventure for a different reason.
To prove myself worthy of my mother's praise.
To write my own story and discover who I really am.
To prove to my family that I am more than they believe me to be.
To revive the god that has chosen me.
But when the fragile balance of the world is in jeopardy, and sinister forces move in the darkness, heroes will be tested, pushed to their limits and beyond. And it will be left to them to determine if they are up to the task. There is a darkness rising. Will they be able to overcome the challenges and meet this evil head-on?
For my god.
For my story.
For my freedom.
For the world.
To restore the balance. Modified Role Season 2, The Chronicles of Erin, a D&D 5e actual play podcast. New season, new characters, new story. Find us on all the usual podcasting apps or at modifiedrole.com.